Alright, I wanted to make this video due to some recent situations and things that I've noticed that have been going on, and things that have been discussed in the media and among people who I know or whatever. A lot of it has to do with mainly drug addiction, and that it is a disease. Well, all these people who I hear commenting on this, and not everyone, I shouldn't say everyone, but people from the outside, ones who don't understand, have never been, drug users or abusers or however you look at it, will never understand the true struggle behind drug addiction. Now, as someone who struggled with addiction myself for approximately 10 years, I don't necessarily agree that it's a disease. I don't think it's something genetic and you're just going to be a drug addict forever. I think that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. But there are, issues among people and among people who are around them, or how their life is and stuff, that is a huge determining factor of how they choose to use drugs. Is that an excuse? Hell no. I didn't have a good childhood, I would say. Daddy was a drunk. A lot of my family were alcoholics or drug addicts or what have you. But is that an excuse? No. I chose the easy way out, which was to continue getting high instead of facing the fact that I was not only ruining my own life, but I was hurting others around me. For me, it took till, the rock bottom, which most people say rock bottom should be at the end, but the rock bottom could be either death or near death. I felt like I could have died several times, or maybe should have, or whatever, but the truth of the matter is I don't regret none of it. Till this day, I have no regrets, because it's made me who I am. And now I look back and I say, well, I was made a lot of stupid decisions in my time and did a lot of stupid shit, but it came to a point where I would steal from my family. I stole from my mother, the one person who would always put her 2 cents in about my drug use. There's not very many people in my life that ever really intervened or tried to change the direction of how I was living, because people didn't maybe know how bad it really was, but it was bad. And 6 years ago, I made a conscious, or maybe even an unconscious decision, because I was probably so high, to just stop what I was doing, because it had just gotten so bad to where during being high, I would just cry or just sit there in like this depressive black hole of going, shit, my life is over. I have got myself to this point to where there's nothing else out there, that I have nothing else to lose. I just need to stop. 6 years ago, almost to this day, I moved to Connecticut. Best decision I ever made. I chose to give up drugs, stop all that bullshit, and live a sober life. First 2 years were kind of choppy. I had my ups and downs, this and that. I was lucky enough to have found, or have been found by, Amy, who I could say probably saved me and kept me straight. Thankfully, someone who she really did see the potential that I had, and knew that deep down inside I really wanted to do better and wanted to continue living my life sober, which without her, I probably would never have made it, even though I wanted to, but it probably would have never happened. But you can't look at what ifs, because that doesn't work. And for all you people who, you know, sit there and say, well, I have this disease and I'm fucking a drug addict, blah, blah, blah. You know what? I used to say that shit. So when I would relapse, I'd be like, oh, I'm a fucking drug addict. That's what happens. No. No. You have to make the decision that you are no longer a fucking drug addict and move on with your life. You have to find out that there are things out there for you to lose. Whether it be, let's just, as simple as you can put it, your own life. That's what you could lose. And then you can think about all the positive things that you can do. Find your talent. The only talent I fucking have, if you ask me, what I think is cooking. That's the only thing I'm fucking good at. That's probably not true. There's probably other things I'm good at. But you find that one thing and you stick with it. Find a hobby. Do something. Keep yourself busy. Because idle hands are the worst. If you're bored, you don't have shit to do, you're going to want to do drugs. You're going to get high. But if you want to make that decision, you have to make it within yourself. Don't fucking cry baby up to everybody else. Look for hugs and pats on the asses and all that bullshit. Get your ass the fuck out of bed. Go exercise. Go do some shit. And get involved. I'm not the one to sit here and say that NA is all that, because it's not. NA for me was just a bunch of babbling crybabies who just want to fucking act like they're fucking sober while they're in the goddamn meetings. But you know what? A lot of them aren't. And they go there for that closure for that day, or for, it's just like going to the damn church and saying, oh, I repent for my fucking sin. No, dude. Shut up. You don't have to go to NA. If you want to go to NA, if it works for you, it works. But for me, it wasn't. I think it's a bunch of bullshit. And that once an addict, always an addict bullshit, don't fucking listen to that. That program was developed too long ago. Not saying that all of it's crooked. It's not crooked, but it's not completely. I don't know. It's not a solid thing for me. It's got a lot of broken pieces to it, and it just doesn't add up. But really, it's all about you. It's all about you being smart, or you know, it's not about being strong. It's about making smart decisions and deciding, especially if you have children. If you have children, you have family that care about you, you need to move on. You need to get yourself together. Find something, find a hobby, do something, because it's not worth it. Most recently, I lost my sister a couple weeks ago, and you know, to a potential overdose. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but it's kind of obvious. And I hadn't seen her in 13 years, since my dad died, actually, back in 2004. And it hurts because, you know, when you don't see your family, and a lot of it has to do with the life that we chose. I guess the routes that we took in our lives, the things, it all took us in different directions, and I think a lot of other stupid shit. But anyway, I'm not here to, you know, ask anybody to feel sorry for me anyway. I'm putting it out there that I lost my sister and hadn't talked to her 13 years, and I lost her to drugs. You know, and what if you were that brother or that sister, and now you have someone else who has to look back and say, damn, I didn't get to see him, and, you know, I gave up on him because they were using or whatever. Not that I did that to my sister, but I'm just using that as an example. You know, I never gave up on anyone, but I didn't even know she was using, to be honest. You know, that disease bullshit, dude, don't listen to it, because in your mind, it's always going to be a fucking fail-safe mechanism. You can always say, oh, I got a disease, it's okay that I use. No, motherfucker, no. You can't say that, because I used to say that same shit to Amy, and Amy will sit here and tell you, she's been dealing with me for 6 years. The first 2 years were fucking hard, because I used that excuse. I said, oh, when I didn't come home fucking 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, she didn't know where the hell I'm at, not answering my phone, it's because I'm out getting high. And then, you know, when I want to fucking cry baby up and say, you know, now I'm all sad and shit because I'm all coming down and all that, and I want to say, oh, you know, when she's mad at me, she talks about she want to leave me and shit after a couple times. Well, you knew I was a drug addict and you met me, fucking blah, blah, blah. All that bullshit, that's all it is bullshit. You got to make up your own fucking mind, dude. You're not going to sit here and wait for everybody to tell you when it's okay to change or when it's time to change. No. People get tired of that shit. They get tired of telling you it's time to change, and they hope, you know, the people who care about you and they love you, they're going to tell you it's time to change. It's time to quit doing whatever you're doing. But then after a while, they just be like, damn, fuck it, just let him die, because eventually he's going to die. And all these people on this heroin and all this other shit, smoking meth, fucking up 3, 4, 5 days. Look, I fucking did all that shit. And I look back and I go, damn, you know, I don't regret it. Had a lot of fun and shit. But it was horrible, and then the drug addiction took over my fucking life, and that no longer was fun. And that's just, you know, the bottom line for that. It's I don't want to hear that crybaby shit no more. Fucking disease this, I'm a drug addict this. No. Man up. Quit doing what you're doing and make it worth living, because I'm telling you, it's worth it. 6 years ago, I made that decision. 2 years, it took me to go, this ain't working, whatever I'm doing, because I kept going back to that disease, fucking, it's part of me, this and that. No. 4 years now, I'm 100% clean and sober. 100%. Now, I'm not make this video for no attaboys and pats on the ass and hugs and all that shit. I'm just putting it out there for someone who was as bad off as me. Some of y'all know, some of the people that might watch this video, most people probably won't watch it because it's kind of probably long. I think I'm at like 15 minutes now. But anyway, those of you that knew me and those particular people that I'm thinking in my head, and those couple people who hear this right now, they'll probably know who I'm talking about. They are ones that will watch this. They'll probably tear up a little bit and they'll go, you know what? I was in that boat. But you know what? Those people that I'm talking about right now are successful and are doing things with their lives. And with that being said, if they're able to share this video, or if one person hears this video that is still stuck in that dark hole, and I can touch that one person, my objective of this video is done. Because I want that one person to know that it is possible to change. And now I have, you know, 2 beautiful children. You know, I own a house, I own 2 cars, I have a decent job, and I look back and I say, I was almost dead. I could have died so many times. Now I look at it and say, my kids love me, my fiance loves me, my mother's proud of me, and it's like, all it took was for me to make that change. That's all it takes. For you to say, I'm done. But you can't just do that and then live your life one step at a time. Because what you also have to do is you need to change your relationships. Change your lifestyle. You don't have to go to church. You don't have to go to NA. You don't have to bow down to every person because you fucked up for fucking 10 years of your life or whatever. You don't have to do none of that shit. You just have to admit to yourself and be submissive to the fact that you're weak. And through finding that weakness, you build strength. And as you build that strength, Every day it gets easier and easier and easier. Like I said, 6 years ago I made a decision. 2 years it sucked because I didn't build strength fast enough, or I allowed myself to use my weakness as something that gave me the okay to use. And let me tell you something. After you've made that decision that if you think that through your drug use and all your times when you're coming down and you're all depressed and all that shit, because everybody here that uses drugs knows what I'm talking about. When you're no longer on, you're no longer high, you're coming down and you're all sad, and you call that one person that possibly still cares about you enough to where you can talk to them about this, and you've been wanting to quit, but you really don't want to make that decision. You just want somebody to cry to because you feel, come on. You think that's bad? After you've made that decision and you've really tried and you go back and you relapse, that feeling right there is the worst. I'm telling you right now, it's 10 times worse than your regular coming down bullshit and wanting, depression or whatever. Because you now are beginning to believe in yourself. And when you relapse, now you've let yourself down. It's no longer about everyone else, because really after the times that you've been using and people have tried to intervene with you for the first little while or whatever, after that, you're not letting yourself down. You did that a long time ago. Now you're letting everyone else down because you're not coming out of it. But then once you make that decision for yourself to quit and you fail, it's worse. And you can slip back into that hole real quick, I'm telling you. So basically the point of this video was just, from experience, people who know me, they know I did a lot of dumb shit and I was in a real dark place. And I don't regret it. I'll say that again, I don't regret it. I don't regret nothing I've ever done. Nothing. And the reason why it's made me who I am today, and it's made me a person who, no matter what, if there was somebody, a stranger, and somebody wanted to talk to me about their drug use or about anything, whatever it is, if I could potentially help verbally or physically, I would do that because of everything I've done in my life, because of all the shit that I've been through. Most of the stuff that I've been through was caused by myself. So let that marinate for a second. Most everything I've been through was caused by myself. Getting locked up when I was a youngin', going to prison as an adult, all that shit was my fault. All of it was my fault. And all of it had to do with drugs. Every single time. Every single time. So, don't sit here and cry about my daddy was a drunk, my uncle was a fucking heroin addict, my sister fucking introduced me to fucking Oxycontin. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. Look, you can't talk about that. None of that matters at this point. You want to make that decision, none of that matters. You have to face the fact that all that may have made you weaker. It may have made you more vulnerable. But after a point, there's no more making excuses. There is no excuse. Think about your kids. Think about your family. Think about what you could do. Think about some of y'all that may have family or a mother who, can't afford to live in her house anymore. She might lose her house. You quit using drugs, you go get a job, you might be able to save her from that. Or, and there's just so many things that I would just throw out there because some stories that I've heard or been around and talked to people, and some of my friends that I reach out to every once in a while and talk to, that every one of them have at least one, damn, that's a cool ass paint job. What's that wrap? Every one of them has at least one negative thing to bring up about their recent life or something close to them or whatever, and it's sad because there's just a lot of stuff going on that you can't be a hero and nobody can fix everything. So keep that in mind too. Nobody's a hero. Don't try to bring on too much stuff. Just handle yourself. Quit using, because it ain't worth it. it's not worth it. All these people out here dropping like flies doing these drugs right now, man. It's not worth it. I'm telling you right now, the amount of happiness that you can feel when you're no longer numb by the drugs is so much better. It's 10 times better. I mean, some of the stuff that I do with the family and with the kids, and you know, it's not about me anymore, and you take them to the park, or you know, you take them to whatever, and we've gone to so many places, Philadelphia, New York, and it's just so fun. And it makes me happy watching them be happy. And it is a little difficult to show my feelings and express my feelings, or communicate. And I think a lot of that has to do with being so recluse in my numb drug use times. And Amy hates it. She wishes I would just talk, and I'm like, I don't have nothing to say. But I really do. But it's just like, you really want to face that sometimes, and it's hard to talk about it. So, you know, thank you for watching, and I hope that everybody out there is able to get off drugs. I know that's probably not going to be true, but anybody that can watch this video and actually be touched by it, and at least be motivated to make that decision, a decision like I made, it'll be worth it. And if anybody can share their own experiences, because for me, just talking and letting someone know that it is possible, and that all that bullshit that you think is true ain't true, you start to realize real fast. Because all that disease, you know, this is a disease, and then they got drugs for you to get off of drugs and all that. Dude, don't get involved with that. If you got to get something, if you're someone who's physically addicted, you need something to wean your body off to keep you from getting sick, I understand that. But all that other shit, don't get involved with it, because it's just another door to walk in and be trapped in. Because now I know, you know, this video is going to people who are addicted to pharmaceutical pills too, which are prescribed by a doctor. Don't let that shit fool you. They're making customers, son. They ain't curing nobody. You just know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I made it to work, get in here and get some shit done. But I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If it moves you, I hope you share it, and I hope everybody out there can take it with a grain of salt, man. Don't think that I'm saying it to bash nobody or nothing, and I'm not here to get praise, but the truth is, it ain't a disease. It's a weakness, man. And women, it is a weakness. And when you make that conscious decision, don't expect that it's going to be easy, because it's not. Anything easy probably ain't the right way. So be prepared to put in work. And if you put in work, it's worth it. You got kids. Think about those kids, man. Stop living a lie. Stop living a lie. That's the number one thing. Stop lying about everything. Face the fucking facts. You're a drug addict, but you want to quit, and you're going to quit. Nah, I don't know, I use this every once in a while, and I'm okay. I can quit when I want. No, shut the fuck up. Just quit. Just do it. It's worth it. Y'all have a good one.